All right, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the Daily Space Weather. We've got solar activity falling off a cliff, the sunspot number dropping, the radio flux number dropping, the cosmic ray update coming, coronal mass ejections, and plenty more to cover today on the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. So here's yesterday plus today. We've got these most impressive sunspots we've seen throughout solar cycle 25 here just setting in the northwest. Sunspot number going to drop further today as we're almost down to 0 sunspots, let's put it that way. There's your colorized magnetogram for yesterday plus today. And here is your intensitygram. And again, you can see sunspots have degraded here. We're down to maybe 1 sunspot group now. Maybe 2 or 3 sunspot groups. Quite low levels of solar activity. Let's check volcanoes while we're here. Abico producing a 10,000-foot ash plume, allayed, exploding now on the northern Kurils there, south of Kamchatka. That's a 10,000-foot ash plume from Mount Allayed, flight level 100. Flight level 070 over Sakurajima as it explodes. Suwanosejima also exploding. Unknown volcanic ash cloud from Suwanosejima. Fuego exploding, flight level 160. It's a 16,000-foot ash plume. And heading down to South America to Ecuador as Sangay explodes down there. 23,000-foot ash plume, flight level 230 over Sangay. Heading farther south to Peru, we see Sabancayas exploding. 22,000-foot ash plume from Sabancaya. 14,000-foot ash plume from Nevados de Chilean in central Chile as it explodes. It's a flight level 140. Do not pole vault the caldera. Do take a moment to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Thanks to all of our YouTube viewers for putting up with the pathetic and putrid censorship on the platform. Yes, I know there are certain words that we can say and certain words that we can't say. It's freaking ridiculous. Fully ridiculous. As YouTube promotes fraud, nonsense, propaganda, disinformation, and general hacks, we see our numbers all over the place and making absolutely no sense. So check out our playlists, view our older videos. There are all kinds of videos there that are associated with things besides space weather. So check it out. And if you're not going to support the channel in any way besides pressing like, subscribe, share, comment, etc., then just do that and ignore the following portions. Visit our homepage. For all of the rest of you who would like to see some additional content, head to smashomash.com, and welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. We decided to build our homepage back in 2018 when we faced pathetic censorship on Facebook, and we realized that we needed our own platform, our own servers, etc., our own path forward, folks. So we built smashomash.com in response to the pathetic censorship on Facebook, which, by the way, continues to this day as big tech self-destructs, thinking that they're going to be able to control information as they try to destroy the internet, but only succeed in destroying themselves as they mislead investors and make fools of themselves. One of the links you can find there is to ShoreMed. We'll get to that in a minute. If you want to support the channel, become a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. Our gold and silver Smash Team members are executive producers of this content. So thanks to our gold and silver Smash Team members, there's also a bronze level membership there. So if you're unable or unwilling to open your cobweb-encrusted wallet, pick us up at the bronze level instead. You'll still get things like email alerts about disasters like tsunamis and major solar storms. Smashomash.com/Smash Team. If you can find the content, maybe you can hire the Smash Team. Another link you can find on the Smash Team page and on the home page at smashomash.com is a link to ShoreMed, which is not insurance. It's an association membership that opens you up to the possibility of purchasing group insurance. All kinds of non-underwritten insurance options available by becoming a member of ShoreMed. Yeah, there's even life insurance that you can sign up for, so consider becoming a member of ShoreMed if you want to improve your health through things like doctors by phone, counselors by phone, virtual veterinarians, dental discounts, vision discounts. The pharmacy discounts are spectacular. I can attest to that myself. I experience about an 80-85% discount myself when filling a prescription. So again, check out the links on the homepage or below this video to SureMed. It's a splentacular membership in the American Better Health Organization. Pick up a Premier membership if you want to include accident and critical illness insurance right with your monthly membership. Another link you can find below the video is to our Redbubble shop. You can also find a link on the homepage at smashomash.com to the Smasho merch. And today's featured product is I think it's our 5th bestseller. You're invited to join the Galactic Federation Special Forces. So I'm wearing the product right now. Check it out. Thanks for leaving a comment, Acrylic D. And I would say to each of you, Universum Liberate, are you not happy with the state of affairs in the galaxy? Well, so many people aren't happy with the state of affairs in the galaxy, so join the Galactic Federation Special Forces and set everybody free. Universum Liberate. Are you scared to say it? Are you thinking that I'm a member of the Illuminati because I said Universum Liberate? The symbolism represents the Milky Way galaxy, signal strength and security and integrity, and instantaneous galactic scale reach. All kinds of different products available there. Put it up on your wall. Put it on a miniskirt. Universum Liberate. Some of us would wave our magic wands and set everybody free, if possible. Next, looking at earthquakes, and we've got an interesting one to cover here, although earthquake activity has been minor for the past 24 hours. That's a 90-day bar graph. Among the most interesting earthquakes, I think the most interesting earthquake is this 5.0 beneath Kilauea. So there's the epicenter of that, where that star's located. A 5.0 magnitude quake there, estimated at only 9 kilometers depth. Is it signaling some additional activity? That one came in at 1907 Universal Time yesterday on the big island of Hawaii. So it's pretty uncommon to see a quake that big on Hawaii. Lots of small quakes are common. Largest quake of the past 24 was yesterday at 10:05 Universal Time on Fiji. It was a 5.5. And a few other 5 magnitude quakes happened in the past 24 hours. We're just going to scroll up the list here. Here we see a 2.9 at negative 1.7 kilometers depth, 1,700 meters above sea level. So perhaps some new magmatic activity happening there at Hawaii. There's another 5.1 at the southeast Indian Ridge. A 5.2 near the South Sandwich Islands. And another 5.2 near the Sandwich Islands. Papua New Guinea had a 5.1 and Tonga had a 5.2. Some quakes in the U.S. there as well, all of minor size. So that covers quakes and volcanoes. Let's get back to space. Here's the 48-hour SDO imagery here from the 171 angstroms wavelength. That's one of the species of ionized iron. As we see solar activity degrading. Oh my God. An active sun is scary, an inactive sun is scary. Jupiter's going to kill you. Pardon the sarcasm, those things just simply aren't true. Maybe if we said them more, we'd see our views per day on YouTube go over 100. Citing facts. It's a personal liability. Those darn facts. Don't go citing facts on social media platforms, folks, because social media platforms want to promote people that are already ultra rich and famous and parroting the same nonsense over and over again in a tired, putrid fashion. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux has cratered to 121 solar flux units. Check out the 1-year chart. It's all the way down here now at 121 Yowzers. A huge dip in the radio flux along with a huge dip in the sunspot number. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard not forecasting any geomagnetic unrest or geomagnetic storms. Yesterday we did have some geomagnetic storm, or earlier today actually, we had some geomagnetic storm conditions. Just for a brief period, they quickly subsided. The magnetic fields have been weakening since yesterday's daily space weather video. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from space for the past 4 hours. The space weather modeling framework uses all kinds of different features to create this model. It's based on magnetometers, electron flux, Van Allen probes, solar wind data, and more. So that's the last 4 hours Earth's magnetic moment from space. Here's the last 4 hours Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Things have returned to geomagnetically calm conditions here. And if you've got any auroral imagery, drop us a line on Twitter. Send us a message on Twitter. We'll be happy to feature your imagery on the channel. So KP2 is the current situation. Planetary K index of 2. It's a calm geomagnetic state, globally speaking. And the current solar wind conditions are, the solar wind speed has ramped up in the past few hours here. It's currently a little over 500 kilometers per second at 517 kilometers per second. Just over 10 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density there. A little bit of high-speed coronal hole wind continues. Although, again, we have seen the fields drop in strength. The fields were all the way up to 18 nanotesla there. That's the white bar there, the white line up top. 18 nanotesla. Now it's all the way down to only 7 nanotesla. Continuing on to look at the magnetic data, here are the Ghost Magnetometers. Their magnetometers are located at a geosynchronous orbit, by the way. Something like 10,500 miles of altitude for those geosynchronous near equatorial satellites. And let's take a look at the top view ecliptic plane field plot. Earth is destined to be in a North Pole current sheet. Might already be there, but at least in an hour or two, maybe 3, expecting to be in a North Pole current sheet, shown there in green. It might be short-lived. We'll have to see what happens next. I would also note that the North Solar Polar Field not leaving the North Heliographic Pole yet, looking like it was going to shrink, but then it kind of rebounds, and a lot of it stays fixated by the pole. And before we do coronal holes, let's look at the line of sight field plot. There's the sun's B field in blue, solar polar field in red and green. Red for south, green for north. And let's move to coronal holes. So this high-speed solar wind that we're getting right now is from those red-colored regions there. Those are North Pole-oriented coronal hole systems. They're not super well-defined. They show up better on this Gong 2 data than they do on the SDO 211 angstroms wavelength. We'll show that anyway. We've got some decently well-defined coronal holes here, so we could see continued high-speed streams here. That's yesterday plus today's data. You can also see a coronal mass ejection propagating down here. Right here. You see some plasma reorganization happening. There was a coronal mass ejection. Is it earthly directed? We'll let you know here shortly. Next, moving to sunspots. So here's our solar flare probability. It has gone way down with the setting of sunspot 3112 and 3116. This sunspot group here, 3121, has already degraded. It's gone. It's now a plage at best. I think there might be a new group right here. So there may be about 3 sunspot groups now at this point, folks, but likelihood of major solar flares has gone way down, and coronal mass ejection likelihood remains kind of high. So let's bring up some more imagery here from SDO. Let me just pause for a minute for station identification. Welcome to the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. So here's 171 angstroms plus colorized magnetogram. Great imagery there from SDO. And here's the gray intensity gram. Yeah, so there is a new sunspot group. This group right here, that'll get a name today. That'll be known as 3122, I believe. It is beta gamma class, so that's something to keep an eye on. Looks like we'll be down to 3 sunspot groups. Maybe 2 more named groups there. That's small group there looks like it might get a name too. That might be 3122, and this one might be 3123. But still a huge dip in the sunspot number with the setting of those major groups in the northwest. Next, the Ghost proton flux. No spikes there, despite an M-class flare yesterday. And we're going to get to solar flare activity here in a moment. First, cosmic ray report. So we're going to go from all the way south to all the way north and in between, starting at as far south as we can get, the South Polar region. DOMB Antarctica showing flat cosmic ray flux at its neutron monitor over the past 30 days. DOMC showing almost the exact same graph there. A slight uptick, actually, at DOMC. Now headed way north to Oulu, and we see a small downtick there. Significant downtick, actually, in cosmic ray flux over the past 30 days. And let's go much farther south to Mexico City. There's Mexico City's Cosmic Ray Observatory. Little downtick there at Mexico City as well. You can see that 30-day graph there showing a small decrease in cosmic rays at Mexico City. How about farther north to Athens, Greece? A downtick there at Athens, Greece also. And let's go back up north to Apatity and Barentsburg. So there's Apatity, downtick at Apatity. At least over the past 30 days. And there is Barentsburg. Barentsburg showing a slight uptick. So for the most part, cosmic rays here have decreased over the past 30 days. And let's continue to solar flares. So solar flares, don't get them confused with coronal mass ejections, folks. Solar flares are photons of the X-ray variety. So this rather long duration M-class flare we saw yesterday peaked at 9:50 Universal Time. It was right when we were doing our video. Since then, the X-ray flux has decreased. No real surprise there, as those sunspots that have set in the north, in the northwest rather, they are huge sunspots. So here are the 2 best wavelengths to view solar flares. From the SDO, it's 131 and 94 angstroms. You can see that M-class flare happening there. That's yesterday plus today. As we show the most detailed imagery of the closest star you'll find any place on the internet. And thanks everybody once again for tuning in. And congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. Next is a star chart. And if you are up before dawn, you might see a spectacular line up there between the moon and Mars, right near the galactic plane. Up high in the sky at the moment here over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Also, Mercury just rose. That star chart from in-the-sky.org is the all-sky chart. If you want to put in your own, put in your zip code, check it out, in-the-sky.org. This is theplanetstoday.com, by the way, and this solar system forecast diagram is not to scale. Let's advance it 1 week. We've got a gibbous waning moon at the moment. Here's where things will be in a week. We'll be approaching a new moon by the 22nd of October. And let's take a look at some coronagraphs since we've got some CMEs to cover. One happening just before midnight there. That's 93 frames from yesterday. And here are 34 frames from today. And that you may notice that CME not likely to be earthly directed, as we don't see any sort of a halo. It's to the south of the planet, the earthly planet. Let's take a look at the view from Stereo A, which has a huge chunk of missing data, unfortunately. But the LASCO C3's got most of the data intact. So first we'll look at the LASCO C3, and there's the propagation of that CME. It is a little bit to the west, but mostly to the south. We don't really see much ejecta, if any, in the top of the coronagraph. And when you look at it from Stereo A's perspective, it looks like there is no ejecta anywhere near the Earth. Although, unfortunately, we have about, nearly 24 hours of missing data there. Not 24. About 14 hours of missing data there. So not the best timing there for missing data from Stereo A. But we'll let that propagate from the SOHO LASCO C3. Not earthly directed, as that coronal mass is ejected. Don't be surprised to see additional coronal mass ejections happen. And you can actually see it happen on this one. You'll see this plasma filament suddenly vanish right there. And whoops, it's gone. Because it's headed off to the south. Still plenty of filaments, though. Remember, folks, I say it over and over again. Like a broken record, we don't need sunspots or solar flares to see coronal mass ejections. Huge filaments here, all over the earthly-facing portion of the solar disk. And let's continue on. That's Lermonth, Australia's ground-based solar observatory. Check it out. We've got some huge prominences continuing to be seen here. That huge prominence there suspended by the magnetic field of sunspot 3112 and 3116 to its north. A little bit of minor crown prominence is happening up here as well. That is the GOES 16 SUVI with its wide field of view. And that's about the last 2.5 hours. If you want to see this stream all day, check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/SmashoMash. And thanks for leaving comments. One audio. Next, we're going to show the less wide field of view from the SDO, 304 angstroms. So this is ionized helium from GOES 16 SUVI. Wide field of view is great for viewing coronal mass ejections. And the narrower field of view from the SDO is good at viewing features. Let's zoom in a little bit on that. That's yesterday plus today, by the way. Spectacular imagery there from SDO. Time for bonus features. We do see some satellite charging hazards. Some minor ones of the surface charging variety caused by low energy electrons there over the southern portion of the North American continent, like Mexico, and moving into the Central Pacific Ocean. GOES electron flux here remains cratered, as it often does during coronal hole high-speed streams. That's the past 3 days. Radiographic measurements by the GOES 16 and GOES 17. Forecast model here, over-predicting the electron flux. We see much lower levels. Nobody was really expecting the high-speed coronal hole wind stream, but we got one anyway. And as long as it continues, we can expect to see this kind of low. We'll see what happens there. The green boxes are the forecast. The yellow diamonds are the observation. Here's the 1-year graph to put it in context from Solon.info. That's the relativistic electrons of the greater than 2 mega electron volt variety. And next we'll take a look at the ionosphere, which is full of anomalies. The F ionosphere is located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. It's one slice. We'll be looking at the vibrational frequency and the anomaly. So here it is in vibrational frequency, and we're seeing lots of rather wild swings here from high to low frequency anomaly. And if you're not familiar with looking at the raw vibrational data here that we're looking at on this, the anomalygram will make it more evident where the anomalies are. So let's do it. Here's the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. So huge polar low-frequency anomalies happening, and then huge polar high-frequency anomalies happening. Some major shifting there in the ionosphere. In fact, those are some of the most significant anomalies we've ever covered on the channel over about 5 years. Anyway, there's the latest image, 10:15 Universal Time ionogram and 10:15 Universal Time anomalygram. And welcome to the world of the living, Smash Staff. Hey Smash Staff, congratulations on realizing the channel exists, where you're able to find our own content. Well done. Next we'll show the total electron content forecast, which is showing the electrons all the way from your GPS satellite down to your handset. Your GPS satellite is located in the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. It must communicate through free electrons. And when it does so, it may have a refracted signal. This is the outer plasmasphere. There's a Van Allen belt. There's an inner plasmasphere, and then there's the ionosphere. And those areas can have lots of free electrons, especially around the equator at noon. Let's see what's going on with the total electron content forecast. Some significant anomalies here once again going on with the total electron content. This has subsided a little bit since yesterday. It'll show you the most likely places for GPS errors. Some rapid swings there, some anomalies, but not as extreme as yesterday. I'm going to let that play through one more time. We don't want the video to be too lengthy. As it snows in parts of the U.S., we'll get to the meteorological portion here in a moment. First, the latest intensitygram and latest magnetogram. So again, we do have some new groups here. They're looking weak. They are both beta gamma class, though. Let's do that again. Move it up a little bit. There are the fields. Not looking particularly strong. At least 2 named groups, though, we may see. See what happens if they are remaining as sunspots here for 12 hours or more. We can expect them to get names like 3122 and 3123. And we'll close out the space weather portion of the video with some composite imagery. So that is yesterday plus today from SDO in 3 species of ionized iron. And now it's time to do meteorology and chew bubblegum. And we're all out of bubble gum. So let's take a look at sulfur dioxide and ocean currents. Yes. Not that they're related. Just showing you that nullschool.net can indeed show some very interesting stuff. So that the red portions there, that's sulfur dioxide, and then you can also see ocean currents there. Just to give you an idea of where the sulfur is located. Is it boiling out of the depths of hell? Is it produced by industrial regions? It certainly is indeed produced by volcanic activity. Anyway, just figured I'd show you that, and let's head to the winds. So here are the jet streams of the eastern world. The jet streams there represented by the 250 hectopascal winds. Here are the surface winds for this side of the planet. Here are the surface winds for the west side. Jet streams looking like this doubled up over the U.S., with some cold air being infused into the deep southeast. Also cold air there showing up in the Pacific Northwest, it looks like. Some British Columbian air making its way down to places like Montana. Here are the jet streams of the central world. And last but not least, the surface winds. Here's what's going on in 3.9 nanometer infrared radiation from the NASA GOES interactive weather satellite. It's showing clouds and fog. And let's continue on to our weather.gov map. So there's a bunch of different flood spots here, some flash flood warnings there in Maine, some flood watches there in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. If your county's lit, click your county. Hard freeze watches there. Hard freeze warnings in places like Idaho, Wisconsin, and Illinois. Again, if your county's lit, click your county. And here come some forecasts. It's your GFS total accumulated precipitation forecast in inches, showing you the most likely spots for floods in the next 3 days. Again, it's a 72-hour GFS model for total accumulated precipitation. We'll also show the GFS model 72-hour forecast for pressure and precipitation. As you can see, a second heavier snowstorm there coming into Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, the upper peninsula of Michigan. Most of Michigan actually expected to see some snow there by October 18th. Again, that's your 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast from the GFS model. And let's take a look at the Euro model here. We're going to show it in snow depth. So there's about 3 days from now. And it looks like the heaviest snow there indeed expected on the upper peninsula. Now expecting over 9 inches. Expecting over 10 inches of snow there on the Euro model. It's a European model for snowfall. Over 10 inches expected there for the portions of the upper peninsula. Yowzers. That's pretty serious. Pretty serious October snowstorm there, folks. Next, your NASA GOES lightning mapper. Not a whole lot of lightning in the U.S. Some in Florida, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. Let's check our real-time lightning map to see if there are any terrestrial strikes. Is thunder rolling in? We may see some on the east coast of Florida. Some thunder rolling in at Melbourne. Decent thunderstorm there. There could be some water spouts. Let us know if you see any water spouts. Take some video of that. Hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. We will show it on the channel. Pretty significant little concentrated thunderstorm happening there off the east coast of Florida. A couple lightning strikes happening here as we do the video as well in Arkansas. There's your zoomed out map. Lightning looking pretty calm at the moment here from the perspective of lightningmaps.org. And let's move to our radar.weather.gov map. Some snow falling there in Alaska, as well as portions of the Great Lakes. Yowzers! Pretty chilly in Pennsylvania, too, I might add. It's good sleeping weather. So there's the U.S. Doppler radar showing vertical motion of water droplets. Here is the shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog from the satellite's perspective and infrared radiation, 3.9 nanometers. And there is the blank screen trying to show you the water vapor. We'll try harder. There you go. As that low moves due east, moving toward Lake Huron, north of Lake Ontario, north of Lake Erie, rather, right toward Lake Ontario. Here's your recap. Ground-based systems known as Doppler radar. Space-based systems known as satellites. Clouds and fog depicted here. And water vapor, which means it is time to close out this video. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, congratulations on realizing the Smash News Network least busted name in news exists. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network least busted name in news.